Well, hello there. Welcome to the virtual rec room. I am the prophet of pop culture, John Pyka. You can call me Johnny. And this morning, we are going to be reviewing He-Man and the Thundercats, the graphic novel trade paperback collection from DC. And we are going to do that right now.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. The first star was James Dean, Elvis Presley and he's still the king. Some things are only imitatable. You can't beat an original. Oh, you can't beat an original.
Hey there, friends and foes. Welcome back to the Virtual Rec Room. This is Back of the Cereal Box. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, John Pyka. You can call me Johnny. And we are a pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturdays of our youth while surviving adulthood today. And when I was a kid, Saturday mornings meant cartoons, kaiju, kung fu movies, and for me, comic books. And we're called Back of the Cereal Box because in between cartoons, kaiju, kung fu movies, and comic books, we didn't have smartphones and tablets at the breakfast table on Saturday morning. We were reading the Back of the Cereal Box. That was our newspaper. That was our world. And this morning, I just enjoyed a great box of Count Chocula because if you're going to have comics or cartoons on Saturday morning, you gotta have cereal to go with it. And it's a perfect choice for spooky season. Now, we are going to be talking about this trade paperback collection. It is He-Man Thundercats by Rob David and Lloyd Goldfine. Goldfine? I'm going to go with Goldfine. Rob Davis and Lloyd Goldfine, they are the writers. And Freddie Williams II is the artist. And Jeremy Caldwell is the colorist. Now, I don't usually talk about the colorist very much, but he's super integral to this story. So I want to make sure to give credit where credit is due. First of all, He-Man, Thundercats, staples of the 1980s. After school cartoons, these were the must-see shows of my youth. We rushed home after school in the 80s to see He-Man and the Thundercats. Produced by different companies. He-Man was produced by Filmation, and the Thundercats was produced by Rankin Bass. Now, here's something you don't know. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was the first ever toy company cartoon to be created as a daily show. I got this from Rob Lamb himself. He was the storyboard artist for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Mattel Toys contracted Filmation to create a cartoon to sell the toy line. And it was produced every day as an afternoon syndicated show. And this was the first of its kind, the first time that had ever been done. Every other animated show prior was Saturday morning only, or in the case of like the Flintstones, prime time. So He-Man broke the mold, and LGN Toys and Rankin Bass, also owned by Televista, saw this trend and they wanted to jump on the bandwagon too. And so they created the Thundercats. And the Thundercats were, I guess, created kind of backwards. Well, He-Man was created to sell toys. Thundercats had toys that the show sold. I know it's a subtle difference, but it's still a difference. Animation style is very different. Filmation had the very clean, very very almost simplistic economy of line type animation, and they used a lot of repeating animation. They recycled a lot of things like facial shots, up close-up shots, or specific actions like leaping or sword fighting and Power of Grayskull. Rankin Bass did a little bit of that with the Sword of Omens and whatnot, but for the most part, the Rankin Bass animation was much more detailed. And if you remember, Rankin Bass also produced the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit TV movies, and so it had that similar style. Kind of like comparing comic book artist Ed McGuinness to Jim Lee. I think that's a fair comparison. He-Man was Ed McGuinness, Thundercats was Jim Lee, and both iconic shows. And you can watch my full review or listen to my full review of Thundercats Ho! and things you never knew about the show here on the broadcast. But let's talk about this graphic novel. So, published by DC Comics, this is the first time the characters cross over, which is ironic because they were competing franchises on TV. And I got to tell you, I was never a He-Man fan growing up, but this story actually reads really well, and the artwork by Freddie Williams II is just gorgeous. It is just gorgeous, and the coloring, I mentioned the colorist on this does a phenomenal job in becoming really a part of the storytelling team, because Jeremy Caldwell uses this beautiful watercolor technique to do his shading and to create texture and highlights, and it works really, really well with the artwork. Here's the plot. Eternia and Third Earth are colliding. And the three ancient evil ones who Mumra serves they are seeking the Sword of Power and the Sword of Omens. And basically, they believe that if Mumra can get them those weapons, that they will control the entire universe. And joke's on them, because Mumra is defeated by Skeletor, and then because Mumra has knowledge that Skeletor doesn't, they actually end up teaming up and becoming one being. I think they call him Mumator, and they end up almost winning the day. This is a great shot of Lion-O seeing the future through the Sword of Omens, and you can see the Thundercats in chains, and Skeletor and Mumra sitting on their thrones, and the sorceress and Tila and Prince Adam's father, the king, have their head on stage. Look, this thing is not silly. It is not, insipid. It is very high stakes, action packed. Even the most annoying characters like Snarf and Orko work really well in this series. Skeletor is a villain to be feared. Mumra is a villain with some gravitas. Here he is. Skeletor, with Mumra's help, gets the Sword of Power. And this was just phenomenal. I'm going to just read the copy on the back real quick. It's called Eternia, the homeworld of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Here, the legendary hero harnesses the power of Grayskull to protect his planet against the evil forces of Skeletor, the Skullface embodiment of evil. Dun, dun, dun. But dimensions away, another evil has set its sights on Eternia's champion. The menace of Mumra is spreading, even as his hated rival, Lion-O, is crowned king of the Thundercats. Mumra knows only one weapon can stand against Lion-O's unstoppable sword of omens, He-Man's sword of power, and he and his merciless minions are prepared to take it by any means necessary. Now, the heroes and villains of two of the greatest adventure sagas ever will join forces in a war for the fate of two worlds. Can He-Man and Lion-O, the Masters and the Thundercats, put aside their differences and stop the combined power of Skeletor and Mumra? Or will these two champions of all that is good be forced to clash swords themselves? This was a lot of fun. This was one of the better crossovers I've read in a long time. And I would not have gotten this had it not been for the quality of the Boom and IDW crossover of Power Rangers and Turtles. And because of that, and because I've been getting into Thundercats, and because I did enjoy Masters of the Universe Revelations, I decided to give this a go. I'm really glad I did. This was a one sitting read for me. I read this super quick and loved every second of it. So pick it up for yourself. You can get it at our sponsor, Things from Another World. There should be a link in the show notes. Yes, it's an affiliate link. We get a commission when you buy from TFAW, but it doesn't cost you anything. And it helps us a lot. So if you want a copy of He-Man and Thundercats, grab it at thingsfromanotherworld.com. Since we are talking about comic books, let's give some love to our partner, Comic Books for Kids.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
How awesome is that? We are so happy to have them as a partner. Speaking of partners, we need to mention the Murdering Crows. They did our awesome theme song, Can't Beat an Original. You can get their album, Four Bad Crows, at Amazon, Google, Apple Music, and it is perfect for spooky season, ladies and gentlemen. That is the music you want to be having playing from your house when your trick-or-treaters are visiting. Also, we want to thank our sponsors, Sharice Collins, Cindy Kep, David Manginelli, Brian Huff, Dave Mattingly, Crystal Raven Jones, Eli Cash, and there are some others that need to be added. Your name can be added to this card. You can have your name in lights at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. So, what is my final word on He-Man and the Thundercats? Out of 5 bowls of cereal, I'm going to give this one a full 5 with an added spoon because it was fantastic. That's the highest rating I can give something, so go grab it, check it out. Let us know what you think about this episode. Did you read this book? Did you love it? What's your favorite He-Man memory? What's your favorite Thundercats memory? Did you read the Thundercats series from Star Comics when you were a kid? Did you read the Masters of the Universe from DC Comics when you were a kid? Let us know what your favorite He-Man and Thundercats memory is. You can continue to comment down below. We will answer them as we can. Make sure you like this video, you share it, you comment on it, and whatever platform you are part of the audience, make sure that you subscribe, click the notification so you never miss an episode, and as always, make sure you tell 2, 300 of your closest friends and family to come share the fun. And until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box.